In Acts chapter 20, around verse 31, the Apostle Paul, in his farewell address to the Ephesian church, says some really interesting and actually shocking things. And in verse 31, he begins the statement. He says, "Therefore, watch and remember." And what's he talking about here? He's actually talking about that they need to be on their guard against people coming in. Not only coming in, actually, right before this, he says, "From among you, men will rise up, speaking perverse things to draw away the disciples after themselves." Now, we know the Apostle Paul spent a lot of time in this church teaching them and preparing them, sharing the truth with them, sharing God's word with them. And now he's warning them. He's saying, look, even amongst you, there are going to be false teachers. This is such a sobering reality for the church today. Listen, we have to be just like this. We have to watch and we have to remember God's word. We have to be on our guard. He says he did not cease to warn everyone day and night for 3 years with tears. Or maybe I just threw the 3 years in there, actually. He didn't cease to warn them day and night with tears. I mean, first of all, the man was brilliant, right? Not only that, he was called by God to be an apostle. He was given authority. He was given wisdom, insight. God spoke powerfully through him, and he was called to prepare and equip the church for everyday life, for their future, everything. And he says here, even after all of that work, these guys are still going to show up. They're still going to say perverse things. They're still going to try to lead people astray. And you have to be on your guard. Now, listen, this is what I think we're seeing, the reality of what's being seen today in the world around us. Back up in the church, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing men that are just, falling into these categories of, as he says here, ravenous wolves, right? People that are hungry to consume, okay? Or those that are just tickling people who have itching ears, right? We see this happening in the world around us. And what are we called to do? Primarily, first, watch and remember. We're supposed to watch what's happening, and we need to keep our mind on knowing God's word. A lot of these guys that are false teachers have massive congregations attending their church. I'm just saying, at the point when the garbage comes out, the false gospel, the false teaching, the heresy, when that stuff comes out, that's actually when a lot of times those churches start to get really big. And there's reasons for that, but if we're believers, the minute that stuff happens, we should not be those that are sticking around for that nonsense, right? We should be those that confront it and are asked to leave. Or we go and say, hey, what you're teaching here is not in line with God's word. Based on this, I'm no longer going to attend here, if that's the case. And, work through that, because it needs to be said. It's never fun. Nobody enjoys that stuff. But listen, for us now, every believer, we need to watch. We need to remember. We need to be in this place. This is important. It's so important. If the Apostle Paul was saying it 2,000 years ago, he was saying it to a church that he poured so much time into, it's still relevant today. It is probably more important to us because we don't have these men like we used to that were established in God's word. It seems like more and more men are just walking away from truth. So this is what I'm asking you to do. Be very careful. Be very diligent about knowing God's word. Be very perceptive about what's happening around you. Keep your eyes open and pray. Ask the Lord to give you wisdom and to give you discernment. This stuff's important, okay? Because so many churches now are walking away from truth. They're walking away from the path of righteousness. So I hope that gives you something to think about today. I hope it's a blessing to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take a minute, leave me a comment. Also, please, if you haven't yet, like and subscribe. I'll see you again tomorrow. God bless.